Thank you very much. I'll be presenting my master's research, and my supervisor is actually here, Emma Hayes, and I also work with Victoria, both of them. And my research focused on AI-driven clash management in large-scale residential developments. And I initially focused my research on large-scale residential because I had to make my research more specific, otherwise I would get results that would be too broad. But one of the findings is actually that the process map I developed for this research is also applicable to different types of projects. So I have my introduction part here, but you introduced me. I will just skip this one. And for my academic literature review, I started trying to understand what clash management is. And it's basically the process of avoiding, identifying, and also resolving clashes. And during my research, I found out that there is a knowledge gap, and we need tools and techniques to actually optimize the coordination process in BIM workflows. And there is a pressing need for this research according to academia, because usually we have research that is based on BIM AI applications. They are not combined. And this is what I try to do here. I developed a process map trying to integrate AI into clash management workflows. And the methodology I used was basically through a triangulated approach. I first did my literature review, then I interviewed BIM and AI specialists in the UK and also Ireland, and I developed my initial process map, integrating AI into clash management, and then I presented this process map to the industry, again, because I wanted people to validate my research and also gather feedback on that. My research findings are split into different sections because this helped me to shape my process map, basically. And the first section was trying to understand the most common clashes in large-scale residential developments, and the following step was trying to understand the existing clash management in BIM workflows. So usually we have the clash avoidance when we are modeling, then we have the clash detection when we are checking the models, identifying the clashes, and the clash resolution stage. So for this research, I tried to understand how this is currently done according to the interviews. And one of the findings actually is related to the coordination inefficiencies in this process. And I think it's important to mention that one of the biggest comments was related to lack of engagement. Design teams mainly, they are not really engaging in this process, they are not really solving the clashes, and sometimes they are not even in these BIM coordination meetings. And many times also we receive models that are low quality models. Actually, they have too many clashes and they are not properly coordinated. This is another inefficiency. And something else that BIM teams highlighted is that sometimes this process of detecting clashes and solving them can be time consuming and demanding. And then I identified the tools and techniques for AI integration into clash management workflows. And I have this here. The first one mentioned was machine learning. Basically, we train computers based on previous data from previous projects, for example. But we need this data to be organized. Sometimes we don't have this. The knowledge-based rules are predefined rules created by experts based on their previous experience. So this is another possibility to integrate AI into clash management. Then we have the genetic algorithms. This is really interesting for clash resolution because it's based on the mechanism of natural selection. So the strong solutions survive and the weak die. Natural language process, this is where ChatGPT comes. And basically, it's the process of interpret and produce data, actually language-related data in the form of text. This can also be useful for clash management. And also we have the extended reality where VR and AR comes in. And this is my final outcome for my research. And here I list the entire clash management process in BIM workflows, all the activities involved in that. I have the first section, the clash avoidance section, where we are modeling. We have the clash detection section, where we identify and analyze the clashes. And here at the bottom, we have the clash resolution stage. For this research, it's also important to mention that I differentiate AI as an agent, where we see potential for fully automation. This is represented by this gear here. And also AI as a human support tool, where we have this human head here with the gear inside. So we have these two possibilities for AI, and this is the beam coordination cycle, basically. And I have target activities that AI can actually help. So I'm not proposing that we are trying to optimize the entire process, but for example, if in my company I have issues with modeling and the models that are low quality models, I can go to this first section here and see what AI can do for me. This is basically the main idea of this framework, and we have this shown as a cycle. So this should repeat every week or on a bi-weekly basis. So I don't know, let's start from the start. During the clash avoidance stage, we are modeling, and here, for example, we can use knowledge-based rules to prevent errors. For example, why do we need to wait for the clash to be detected in a later stage, rather than avoiding the clash to happen? And if we have knowledge from previous experts, we can actually tell the machine, for example, if we are modeling M&E pipe work, we can tell the machine, don't let me model it if it's clashing with a structural beam, for example. And then we can use modeling software based on AI to speed up the process, basically, make this more accurate. During the clash detection, we have the step that we are trying to identify the clashes. We are running clash tests, and we are actually creating the viewpoints, for example, if you are using Navisworks. You are actually identifying this issue, but the biggest potential, AI potential here, is when you are analyzing these clashes, because the filtering process, the grouping process can be really time consuming. So when you are analyzing clashes, you are filtering clashes, for example. You know that during the design stage, you have clashes that are not really relevant. For example, a perpendicular pipe passing through a wall. You know that in the future an opening will be created. But during the design stage, this is not important. So you can actually tell the machine, based on previous knowledge, that this clash can be ignored. And for example, when you are classifying and grouping clashes, you know from previous projects that according to geometry or soft clashes, hard clashes, the same type of clash is happening. So if you have your machine trained, you can actually automatically group this clash based on previous projects. Another option would be when you are trying to prioritize clashes. Here, this is really interesting. Actually, there are a few plugins in the industry that helps to give a description of the clash. So, for example, you have this clash here, and it gives you a text of what the clash is and the people who are involved in that. And this is good for inexperienced being staff. If they are not really familiar with the process, they can just have this sort of text box explaining what the clash is. And we have already plugins available in the industry for that. And you continue your process, you have all your classes identified, and then you present your classes during the beam coordination meetings. And we are trying to find out who will resolve this clash and all the cascading effects. For example, if you move an element, you can affect other elements in the project. And for that, we can use extended reality. For example, if you are seeing a clash at a 1-to-1 scale, you can make better decisions because you are actually visualizing this better. And also you can use the genetic algorithms that I mentioned before that can show you the best solution for that clash if the machine is properly trained for that. And then the teams are reintegrating the models, they have to solve their clashes. And here, it's this step here, we have another interesting tool. It's generative AI to produce codes for programming. Basically, I got this information from interviews. There are companies in Ireland already doing that as well. They are basically using ChatGPT to produce their code to create plugins in Revit. So basically, you can tell Revit what to do according to your specific needs. So this is really interesting as well. And then, if all the clashes are resolved, you can export this clash-free model with all the issues coordinated, and if not, you need to go back to the first steps and fix your models, address all the issues, and the cycle continues on a weekly and bi-weekly basis, as I mentioned before. And also, when I brought this process map back to the industry, I asked for feedback. And an interesting feedback that I received is that this framework basically saved time in terms of researching for AI tools that can help people in their companies. So this was really interesting. And the final slide here is in relation to the identified barriers for AI adoption in both Ireland and the United Kingdom. And the major one was in terms of complexity. People don't really know what AI can do for them and how. Another interesting point relates to a lack of data. Many times we have this data available in our company, but the data is not organized, so we cannot really use that. And the other point highlighted here is in regards to unreliability. Many people don't really trust AI, not only because we don't have the projects tested, we still don't have valid results in many situations. So we need to test and see if this is valid, and also if this actually speed up the process. If we need this, as we mentioned before, why are we doing that? Do we really need to implement AI in this specific step or not? So an issue is actually unreliability, and also we need a proper understanding of the standards and regulations that will come soon. But to be honest, I believe it's just a matter of time. As I mentioned before, there are companies already in the industry actually using AI for clash management, and I think it's just a matter of time. This will happen soon. This is it. Thank you very much.